Now, as we move to the close of our symposium, we're going to hear from Ethan Holtz in a tribute to Judge Alexander, who is stepping down from the bench. First, we will hear from Ethan, who will then turn the mic over to the judge for rebuttal. Some remarks concerning his nearly 2 decades on the bench at 1200 North Telegraph. Mr. Holtz, the mic is yours.
Thank you, everyone. I first met Judge Alexander almost exactly 36 years ago when I was 9 years old on election night in 1984 at the election night party for Judge Jessica Cooper's first campaign for circuit court. I suppose I never would have imagined that 25 years later, I'd be standing in front of him in a courtroom. And after 10 years of doing that, I'd be appearing and asked to pay tribute to him before all of you, a panel of my distinguished peers. I start with that story because I find it very apropos of the time we're in. As I'm sure you all know, Judge Alexander, prior to taking the bench, had a long and distinguished career in Republican politics. And just a few years after that election night, would become the chairman of the Oakland County Republican Party. Yet that night, we were all there celebrating the election of a Democrat to the bench. Judge Alexander was equally beloved and is equally beloved by Republicans and Democrats alike, and is the kind of person who could disagree with someone's political beliefs, but see past those. In fact, I was there that night, introduced to him that night by his lifelong friend, Judge Barry Howard, whose politics could not be more different. This is something the world needs a lot more of today. Now flash forward those 25 years to a Wednesday morning in Oakland County Circuit Court. Motion day in Judge Alexander's courtroom. Many of you who I see here today are the same faces I would see on your typical Wednesday there. That is one of the unique aspects of the implementation of the business court. It's tightened the circle in our community. We see the same lawyers, we see the same judges often and repeatedly. It breeds familiarity with one another. You know what they say about familiarity and what it breeds. From the perspective of a commercial litigator, that familiarity is priceless. As business court litigators, our job is to evaluate our clients' problems, let them know what their strengths and weaknesses are, and try to predict the likely outcomes for them so that they can make informed business decisions about how they want to proceed. In any litigation, what clients ask the most and what is often most difficult to answer is, what is the judge going to do? Any business litigator should tell you that the most valuable and important quality in a judge is consistency. Just like an umpire calling balls and strikes, business lawyers rely on consistency from the bench in order to be able to advise our clients. Judge Alexander established the model for that. Agree with his rulings, disagree with his rulings, like him or like him. With Judge Alexander, you always knew where you stood and what you were going to get. Be respectful and you will be treated with respect, not just of the court, but of your adversaries also. That's a lesson Judge Alexander taught me personally. Disrespect of your adversary is just as bad as disrespect of the court, or almost as bad as disrespect of the court. Obey the court's orders. When the court has ruled, you follow it. If not, there will be consequences. Most importantly, do not walk into that courtroom peddling nonsense. Be an advocate for your client, but your credibility is more important. If what you are selling is bull, you are in the wrong place. I can give you an example of Judge Alexander's consistency on oppression cases. Having come from the family bench, I think Judge Alexander recognized at a very early point what these cases really are and how to get them resolved. I never had an oppression case in front of Judge Alexander that did not settle. I could tell my clients where the case was going to head, how it was going to get there, and that was invaluable in getting them resolved. Even more so when I've served as mediator in cases that were pending before Judge Alexander. I could tell both sides where the case was going to head, and that's how I could get them to move their positions and resolve the matter. And as business lawyers, that is what we want and allows us to best serve our clients. Judge Alexander set the standard for that. I'd be remiss if I did not mention Judge Alexander's sense of humor from the bench. I could not count all the times I had to keep from biting through my lip wall at the podium after he dropped a joke that would break up the whole room. I'm personally going to miss those jokes. I'm going to miss the consistency, and I'm going to miss Judge Alexander. It's my great honor to present and introduce the Honorable James M. Alexander. Judge, all yours.
Thank you, Ethan. In November of 1990, the first phone call I made after John Engler was elected governor was to Al Holtz, who was next in line to be a judge in Oakland County until a funny thing happened to Jim Blanchard. So to be honored by Ethan is a great honor, and I am deeply, deeply touched and moved. Thank you. Those of you who know me know that this was not my life's goal to be a judge. I wanted to be chief of staff in the White House. Thank God I'm not there now. But when I got appointed, a guy that I had worked with, Andy Card, was the chief of staff in the White House. And I used to tell people when I was a family judge that every day Andy Card makes a decision that affects 300 million Americans, but I make a decision that affects a family in Oakland County and has an immediate effect here. I have been blessed to have this job. I have been blessed to be surrounded by incredible people who taught me and who I've learned from. And after 9 years on the family bench, a couple years on general civil, I'm so happy that I was asked to join the business court, and I'm happier that my sister came with me and we started something. And I think that, and one of the great things that we did for many of you in the room who are on this group is created the Business Court Advisory Committee, because we were growing something and we couldn't do it. We knew what we wanted to do, but we couldn't do it ourselves and we needed help. And so many of you jumped in and have been just incredible partners with us in putting this together. Chris Yates, I can't tell you enough how great Chris Yates is. This is a guy who's not only an incredible judge, but he's a better human being. And he has done, I've learned so much from him and just enjoyed working with him and all the business court judges. I mean, we really have quite a team around the state, in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, Washtenaw, Kent, and throughout the state. This has been a hell of a ride. I came, as Ethan said, I was the first stone cold partisan to be appointed to the bench, really, I guess, since Barry Howard. And ironically, Barry, Jimmy Hiller, and I met the first day of law school in 1970 at U of D, became incredibly close friends. And I took Barry's seat. I'm convinced that, because I know there was this little cabal in Lansing that had this whole thing set up for me to be a judge. I just was the one who didn't know that it was going on. And I'm convinced Barry was part of it, but he denies it to this day. But it's a decision I'm glad that Governor Engler made. It's a decision I'm glad that I made to do this. And to be able to serve the people of this county, the people and the people of this state. And to understand that we are public servants as judges, that we don't own our courtrooms, we simply rent them, as Judge Cohn wants to say. And I'm just proud of what we've done, and I'm proud of everything that all of you have done, and to work with us to create the business court, to keep it going. I'm happy. I think it's in good hands with Judge Anderson and Judge Warren coming in to replace me. Judge Warren may not be as funny as I am, but he sure is smart and he knows his way, and he's a great judge, and it's going to be it's going to be a pleasure to, I'm not going to say I'm going to practice in front of him, but to know that we're leaving the business court in very capable hands. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for the honor. I'm not going away. There'll be an announcement the next few weeks. And I still have 50 more days to, we're doing motions, we're doing trials, and we're moving forward. So thank you.
Judge Alexander, we would now like to open the floor up for people to unmute and jump in and share your memories of practicing in Judge Alexander's court and going to status conferences in his always well-run chambers. But remember, he is still on the bench. So now, please feel free to unmute and jump in, and don't be afraid. Interrupting is invited. In fact, it's included in the $25 registration fee, at least one free interruption, but just one. So with that, who would like to start in and share some of their memories?
May I just say a few words about my dear colleague?
Yes, please.
Judge Alexander always gets frustrated with me because he says I say too much hyperbolically about him, but I'm not kidding about this. Losing Judge Alexander from the bench is like when Lou Gehrig retired from the Yankees or Michael Jordan left the Bulls after winning the championship in '93. There is no way that we could ever replace Judge Alexander. And for those of you who appreciate him on the bench, you need to understand that he was really the driving force behind almost everything that's gone right in the business court system in the state of Michigan. And he and I also don't have exactly the same political views, but we become fast friends. And I think that's a testament to the fact that he's always open to new people and new ideas. And he's just such a brilliant, creative thinker that I don't know how the Michigan judges will survive without him. You don't know this, but he was the president of our organization. Most people, after they serve as president, just disappear into the woodwork. Judge Alexander remained incredibly active and engaged, and so much good that's been done on the statutory side in the state of Michigan is the direct result of his hard work. So, buddy, I don't know how we're ever going to live without you, but we're going to have to figure out how to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. And would anyone else like to jump in? Mr. Powell.
Yes, I'd just like to say, Judge, it's always been a pleasure to practice before you. But one thing that I will never forget is working with you in Inns of Court, where you work tirelessly to assist young lawyers in learning their trade and how to practice. I have great memories of those nights. I also, I thought you were absolutely extraordinary, among other things, at initial conferences on cases. You have an uncanny knack of separating the wheat from the chaff, and really getting to the bottom of it. Appreciated practicing before you, and I'm going to miss you.
Thank you. Thank you, Powell.
PJ, can I jump in here?
Yes, please jump in, Mark.
So Ethan and Judge Alexander, I thought those were some wonderful remarks. One, Powell mentioned the initial status conferences. And one of the things that I always remember would be said to me is, or the other lawyer or both of us at some point, move the case, let's move this case along. Let's move this case along. So I think Judge Alexander made me a better lawyer because I got a case that was pending before Judge Alexander. I'm the defendant this time. So I know I got my initial status conference coming up. So I get everything in order. My discovery out, a motion for summary file, a mediator selected, even an expert report. And I've produced discovery actually. We're a couple of months in. So I think I'm gonna walk in there and get a pat on the back and say, you're finally moving it along the way I want. He hears me out and he looks up and with a wry grin just says, let's move this case along. So, he keeps pushing us to do that. And that's the hallmark of a strong docket and a strong judiciary, because as we know, justice delayed is justice denied.
Thank you very much, Mark. Anybody feel free to unmute and jump in on the mic. And any of the other judges as well. Any comments for Judge Alexander?
Well, if I could just say this about Jim, like I said, I started with Diane Akers a long time ago. We wanted to do this business court, and it just floundered. And we tried every which way to push this through. And then Snyder comes in, but the guy who brought it across the line was Jim Alexander. I mean, I'm not worthy to be in the same room.
Oh, stop it.
It's just like, why did we get him first? and what was great is just the vision of where we want to be, how this court wants to go. And I know Chris and many others worked so hard on that. But when I was, it's just to see it happen. And I think people, this is what I hope all judges and lawyers recognize of what our role is. If you look at what Jim has done, how can we make the judiciary better and the legal system better? Not just to make something new, but really, how does this help our citizens and how does this help our state? We're more competitive, I would say, because of this business court. And about that. But Jim Alexander gets that, and we owe a debt to him. And then when I got on the bench, on the business court, just recently appointed, not too long ago, times I've called Jim Alexander or asked him about the COVID issue. Quick, he is quick to respond and very helpful, very knowledgeable. That's a wealth of knowledge that we're losing. And Jim, we're not the closest buddies, but I've always respected you and admired you. And I tip my hat to your wonderful career. And you've got a lot more to give. I know that.
Thanks, TJ. Appreciate it.
Any other comments for Judge Alexander?
I've been lurking in the background here, listening to this great panel.
Oh my gosh. Hey, our president speaks.
But I wanted to join in, and I certainly agree with all the other comments that have been made. Jim, you've been a great mentor and the dean of the business court bench, and we've been proud to know you and work with you, and hope to see lots of you in the future.
Thanks, Chad. Thank you. Okay, everybody's got to go home now. It's time to drink.
Anyone have any additional comments? Going once? Going twice?
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Special thank you to all the judges and to Judge Alexander. And now we would like to turn this back over to Attorney Mark Rossman, our host for this evening. Thank you, Mark. The floor is yours.
Thank you, PJ. Well, I think Judge Alexander said it best. It's time to get home and have a drink. Or if you're already at home, perhaps that's already been happening. But in any event, it's been really great to host this program the last 2 nights. It's a lot of fun every time we do it. It's a lot of work, but the great speakers, the production team of Fortz, the work that PJ Muir Productions did for us, and everyone else at the State Bar and the Wayne State University Law School Business Journal, and all the other people who helped make this possible. Thank you very, very much. It's been excellent time being here with you, especially in this pandemic when we don't really get to socialize and even see each other at court on motion days like we used to. So it's been great seeing everyone here. Look forward to when we can get back into the courts and go back to the bar events and see everyone in person. But until then, the virtual world will suffice. And it's been great, and thank you all for attending and for participating.
Thank you for attending the 3rd Annual Symposium on Corporate Oppression Actions and Business Law. From all of us here on the panel, have a very good night.
All right, we're gonna pick this one up now. We're gonna get into it now.